ready to carry on with our Christmas gift project. Okay, so as you can see, I've finished putting the ribbon on. So first of all, obviously, I corrected my mistake and I put the base patterned paper on, and then I folded the ribbon underneath. And I added a small brad in the centre of the bottom part of the ribbon, just underneath where the lid comes to. And I did the same, obviously, on the other side. For the base, the bottom of the box, I decided to use felt because this is going to be more of a, what I call a table album. So that's really, really bright. Let's see if I can... not having very good luck with my lighting at the moment. So I decided to use felt because it's going to be placed on a table. So the first thing I did is I took this 25mm ribbon, so it's 2.5 centimetres, so it's about an inch, and I glued it to the base in the centre. I then added my felt on top of it and just left it at that. I took the ribbon round to the, let's get it the right way round, took it round to what essentially is going to be the front side of the album. It is glued here, only this bit here, and then I put a brad through it here. On the other side, I glued the ribbon here. The brad does not go through the box, it only goes through the ribbon. And then I carried on gluing the ribbon, making sure it was nice and tight up into here, round, and I glued it up to about here. Left enough ribbon so that I could tie a pretty bow, and used another brad in the centre of the ribbons to keep it from flopping all over the place. I thought that would be quite a nice thing. I may change this brad to one with a link in it so that I can hang a couple of charms on it, and maybe a tag, something like that. So as you can see here, at the top, at the bottom, and here are where the brads come through, but I didn't put the brad through on the side here because it would have come through and interfered. Right, next. My original plan was to use envelopes for this album. I don't know what I've done with them now. Here they are. So I was going to use envelopes, and these are C4 envelopes. So I have C4 and C5 envelopes, and C4 envelopes are for the use with A4 paper, and C5 are for the use of with A5 papers. As I started to sort of see how I could construct pages with them, I realised, in my opinion, they were going to be too flimsy. However, I'm not going to discard these. What I might do is I will cut these down to 7.5, I think, or maybe slightly less, probably 7 inches tall, and we'll use them to place underneath my elastic bits here in between the pages. So I'm not discounting the envelopes yet, I'm just not going to use them as the main part of my page. Now I measured what size my pages were going to need to be, and they need to be 7 3/4 by 7. So that makes it incredibly easy, because at 7 3/4 I need to have 1/2 inch to make a pocket. The pocket will be opening on this side, so that means that the papers have to be 8 1/4 inches wide, which is, well, 8 1/4 inches tall, with that 1/2 inch for a hinge, which is the size of UK A4 paper. So I won't need to cut anything down. Also, I'm going to be making my pages, unusually for me, directly onto the base pages. Now, I'm not actually going to cut out the base pages yet. I mean, I could do, I don't know if I've got any handy. So I could just cut it at 7 by 8 1/4, ½ inch back on each side, and make a base page. But I thought that would be wasting quite a bit of paper that I could utilise at the sides. So I'm going to start each page with an A4 sheet and work from there, knowing that it has to be 7 3/4. So I will have to have you know what they're called? A score line. And this is really heavyweight cardstock. This is actually a more heavyweight cardstock than I used on the hinge. This is what I used on the hinge. And as you can see, that is quite a big cardstock. This one is a lot thicker. So on the 8 1/4 inch side, I need to find my score tool and score this at 7 3/4 inches all the way down. So that will be the start of my base page. So I'm not going to put the pages together. And then lay them in the album. I'm going to make the pages, each one separately, and then then I'm going to put them into the album. It's going to make it quite difficult, but I think it's going to save me a lot of paper and a lot of bulk, because rather than having a hinge and a flap, I'll just be able to fold this and create a flap, and I think that'll be a lot better. The other thing I'm going to do, if I can find it, is I've been thinking about some of my favourite albums. You can see this is where my house has been worked on. It's incredibly dusty, so I'm lucky that that's in the box. So I've been looking at my albums. So I'm just trying to find a little brush. And thinking about the pages that I really love the most. There, that's better. And this is one of my favourite albums. It was one of the first albums that I made with the Cathy Alter King style hinge, I do believe. And oops, let's take this out. I am going to, even though this is obviously a much bigger album, I'm going to use this as inspiration. Oh, it wasn't closed, look at that. I'm going to use this as inspiration for this Christmas album. Get my coffee out of the way. So I do remember when I made this book, I kind of split the pages into 3-inch and 5-inch pieces, or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 3 inches possibly. So I'm going to use that as an inspiration, and this one's only got 4 pages, so I'll have to kind of think up a few extra bits. But as you can see, they're nice and chunky and will be brilliant in the space that I've got, because I have 3/4 of an inch hinges, and I only add, well, I think actually I might have 3/4 of an inch hinges in here as well. So I'm going to use this as inspiration. So everything's falling off the side of the table. I should be using this as inspiration for the album. Because I like the way these pages are constructed. There's an awful lot to them. They open up and they open up, and they've got all sorts, and I really like that idea. This is actually not a flap, it's it's one big tag, and I don't know why that's not going down. Okay. Oh, that's better. So, loving this idea, getting inspiration from this, and this is, I think there's another, yeah, there is another little bit there. This is what I'm going to do. So, I have waffled on enough. I'm going to plan out a few pages, and I will be using dies to cut some edges. I do think I want edges on this one. I think it's ever so pretty, and we'll see how we go. So I shall plan out a few pages, and then I'll be back and we'll have some fun. Right, I have the first page in my head, but I have to decide what decorative edges I'm going to use. I know in the past I tend to pick decorative edges that I can match with frames. So I've used this one and this one quite a lot. This one I used quite a lot. This one I used a lot. I think I used that one in the Raven album. More tags. This one I like. And I have used that one a lot, but I do think I've got, I think that's Christmas. Oh, by the way, look at these. Absolute bargain. This is from The Works. Really lovely cutting dies. But I do actually have the Little Red Robin cutting dies, which I may use. So let's have a look. That's Corners. I love this. See, this clearly dies on the edge die goes really beautifully with this. So I may end up using that again. Haven't used that one yet. But I do have these extreme labels, and this does go with this. I don't have one that goes with that. Oh dear, that's too fancy for what I need. That one might work. This is always a good one to use. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This one. This one. Oh my, I am at a bit of a quandary with this. I think these are all very fancy. So I do have that one as well, which is very similar to this one. So that's a possibility. These are all very fancy edge. I love this one. But I won't be using it. Right, so it's going to be a choice between this one or maybe that one. Too cloud-like. It's going to be this one or this one or this one. Oh, I am at a bit of a... Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So if I use that one, it does kind of go with that. And these. But I do like that one. Oh. I'm trying to think which one would look best. I think I'm going to go with this. I haven't used this one for so long, and I think it would match in with this. Okay. There you go. Decision made. Possibly. I'll think about it. Oh, tabs. I've got to think about what tabs I want as well. You see, I'm not very well organised with my with my die cuts. Now I think it's going to have to be let's go with the Crealey's one. Just does go so well, doesn't it? The Crealey's one it is. Probably. I've used that one a lot. I haven't really used this one. And I do like a little... No, I cannot make up my mind. So, let's pop these out of the way. Think about papers. So this is my base page. And these are the bits and pieces. So for the base page, you will need a piece that is 8 3/4 of an inch, and you are going to score by 8 1/4. On the 8 1/4 inch side, score it at 1/2 inch. On the 8 3/4 inch side, score it at 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 7 3/4 of an inch, and 8 inches. You will also need... Oh, this is going to get confusing. There's my other bits. Right, this one and this one. One piece that is 7 by 7 3/4, And one piece that is 7 3/4 by 4 A4 sheets. So this is 11 5/8, and I've scored it at 6 inches. Okay, so let's deal with those bits first, and then I'll add the rest of them on. Now, has any of these got decorative edges? No. Okay, so with my base page, I'm going to fold over the 1/2 inch hinge at the top and give it a really good burnish. Like I said, this is a really thick card, so this is going to need quite a lot of working. I'm then going to fold back, or forward actually, fold forward both of the score lines on each side. Okay, now when this folds in on the innermost score line, so you've got the score line shown on the top, this should be 7 inches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so on those 2 innermost score lines, turn it around so the small flap is closest to you. Okay, so I've got 1 score line here and 1 score line here, and this one I'm just going to cut down there, and the same on this side. I'll make sure that is actually cut on the score line. Okay, now I want to take off this little tab that's left over. Don't need that. I do, however, need my glasses. And the same on this side. And next, I want to mitre these edges, but I don't want to mitre down to here. I want to mitre from the outer score line, so from here out, just slightly, so that I have that nice flat edge here, and then the mitered score line, and the same for the bottom, and for each side here. This is obviously a smaller flap. I don't know why I put a smaller flap there, I just did. Okay, next, ignoring the 1/2 inch, no, 1/4 of an inch gusset, I want to put some tape on here. So let's get the tape on. But not on your gussets. Okay, with this flap at the top and the wider flap on the side on your right, I'm going to take this right hand one, fold it down so that the gusset is flat on the table, so you can't see the gusset. Take your 7 by 7 1.25. I'm going to put it on here, so we're going to attach it to this flap. I'm going to take off the tape backing. Add some glue. And then place this on top, level with the page underneath. Open that up, give that a nice burnish. Okay. Now for the other side, I'm going to take this bit, open it up, so the 6-inch piece, so the slightly longer piece, is going to be attached to the flap here. So I'm going to fold it again so I can't see my gusset. My gusset is on the table. Take off my tape backing. Add some glue. And then once again, line this up with the base page. And give it a burnish. Now pop that inside. This goes here, this goes here. Okay, on the front page here, I want a flap, and I think all of these are everything else has decorative edge written on it. Lovely. I think that's got to be decorative edge as well. So, on the front here, I'm going to have a very simple flap in the middle. It's just going to lift up. And I'm going to have a decorative edge on it. This will then open. And on this side, I'm going to have a simple belly band. On this side, I'm going to have a pocket, which is 6 inches, and that will have a decorative edge on it. This will then open. And this will open. Okay, on the base page there will be 2 pockets here, and the tag that goes in this pocket will have a flap that comes over with a decorative edge on it. And then in here, I think, do I want it on here? On here, I think on here, or the outside, I don't know yet. I'm going to have another small pocket with another decorative edge. So I have to get my papers sorted and get these decorative edges out. So when I get my papers, actually no, I'll give you the measurements now. So This was a piece of scrap, but you do need it 8 3/4 inches so that you can do a 1/2 inch flap on each side if you want your belly band the full size of the pocket. If you want it stuck down, you wait until after you've done your decorative papers, and it only has to be 7 3/4 inches. Okay, the 2 pockets here, they are both obviously 8 3/4 inches with a 1/2 inch flap on each side. This one is 5 inches and this one is 3 1/4 inches. Yeah, so that's 5 by 8 3/4 and 3 1/4 by 8 3/4. The tiny pocket is 6 5/8, and it is scored at 1/2 inch and 6 1/8. So that is actually designed to go on this side for some reason. Okay, what else am I missing? The large flap at the front is 4. Oh, this was a leftover piece, so 4 3/4 at the most. It's not. Let's call it 4 5/8 by 8 1/4. And on the 8 1/4 inch side, it's got a 1/2 inch score line. And the pocket that goes on the first inside flap is 8 3/4 inches with a 1/2 inch score line each side. I think that's right. Yeah, 8 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch by 6 inches. And that one is the one that goes here. As you can see, I want a decorative edge, so I am going to choose my papers and start cutting my decorative edges, and then I'll be back to show you how I put it together.